right. What was I doing? I think I was thinking about how the data provider that's going to be responsible for calling the Twitch API is going to have access to the access token that we're going to be getting from the back end. I think one possibility that occurs to me at the moment is I could just have this data provider method call my backend to ask for the access token as needed. Right? Just ask for it and then take that and then call Twitch. Rather than trying to store it. Could that be a thing that we could do in multiple places? I think maybe. If so, then like the Twitch token liveness checker, I would just get rid of that. I think. Potentially instead, if I want something that's going to keep the token alive, I could do that on the back end. That would be possible to do since I would be storing the access and refresh tokens. So that would be a possibility. Then this use Twitch access token, what it would really do is that it would similar to how the use profile ends up just calling well, a CRUD endpoint to like retrieve the profile. We would have something where it calls an endpoint that gets the token. Okay, how do I want to proceed? That's always the question. Like, I'm tempted to say, first of all, like, rename the data provider to be just like Twitch data provider. This would be something where it would interact with my API to get the token, and we could use that in various places. And then we could also use that in line for our get list to also get the list of videos. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Okay, so I need a little bit more room. Here we go. Let's do that. So in index.ts, right. So this is what dispatches out to these different data providers. So if the resource is AI chat, I use the chat data provider. If the resource is in this resource map object, it uses the REST data provider. Then if it's Twitch streams, then it uses this. So the downside of doing something like the thing that popped into my head, and I was kind of alluding to a moment ago, was doing something where I'd have like async get one, and what this would do is it would actually get the credential. But that's not really it breaks the kind of the contract from one perspective, or the metaphor, the conceptualization of what the data provider does. Makes it leaky. Do I need... Okay. Let us do this. First of all, hide open editors, hide outline. Let me get my folders here. I think, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. If at some point we need to actually have multiple things where we can like get like there's multiple different types of things that we would want to either get one of or get a list of, then we can use the resource name to do more. For right now, I think this will be fine. I'm just going to change this resource to just be Twitch. And then that is going to break some things. What I'll do, Control-Shift-F. We're going to change this from Twitch streams to just Twitch. Yep. Cool. At least the name won't be quite so much of a lie. And then this file is going to be renamed. Hey, 2DS. How's it going? Good, I hope. I'm gonna rename this to Twitch Data Provider. Oh, well, I was gonna try that again. Okay. Is there anywhere else in the code where we refer to resource? Yeah. A few places. Doing good. How about me? Yeah, pretty good. Getting used to the my old sleep schedule. Now that I had like 5 or 6 weeks off of work from Thanksgiving through New Year's, and so I enjoyed a lot of time without an alarm or any kind of fixed sleep schedule, just, you know, whatever. And so back to work this week, well, last week now, getting back to the early morning wake up takes some getting used to, but I'm coping. Got my coffee this morning. Back to the grind. It's all right. Okay, so let's just put a to do here. To do use utilities is what it's actually called. Utilities. Twitch. There, yeah, do that. And then I wanted to. So we're gonna make a little wrapper here. I'll just call it get1 because that's kind of the data provider language. And then this is going to be something where we are going to construct a URL. This is going to be like auth Twitch something. What am I working on now? Yeah, it's a good question. So I'm doing some front end work on the project that I've been working on for like the last 13 months. This is Glowing Telegram. Why does it say React Admin? Did I change that? Oh, interesting. But yeah, so what I'm in the process of doing specifically is that the front end, part of it's broken because it used to expect that it would be able to call my backend to ask for a list of video, like past streams, for the purposes of importing them into the tool. And part of that was that there was a function in the old front end that would call the backend and do OAuth through Twitch. That's gone. I've built a new set of API endpoints last coding stream, so last Sunday, and then since then, to do that. But there's nothing in the front end to support that. And I want to also make it so that the front end, instead of calling my backend to kind of proxy to Twitch to get the list of past streams, it's going to call directly to Twitch. And that's what this to do is about. I also have a different part of the front end that was kind of the first thing as we were building this new version of our front end app called the Stream Manager, which is this thing over here. And this is already set up to directly call Twitch APIs and use the to expect some things. Those expectations are not going to be valid anymore because I want to change. Like, I don't want to make the front end responsible for doing all of the OAuth flow and getting the access token and managing that. I want the backend to do that. And so there's some changes that we need to do to make that work. So there's this migration between old backend and new backend, old front end and new front ends, and different ways of doing things, and just kind of like getting everything on the same page. So this method needs to call some endpoint. Let's go find it. So this is in Twitch Lambda main.rs. It's auth Twitch token is our obtain Twitch access token handler. So we have the back end of this application is written in Rust, and the front end is TypeScript. There are advantages and disadvantages. But that's what it is. It's what I landed on, and I don't feel like rewriting everything any more than I already have as part of this. The other thing that is going on, right, with, like I said, there's an old backend and a new backend. That part of that work, that migration, is going from kind of a self-hosted, Dockerized, but just a service that I'm running, just like a Rust application that's handling HTTP requests, to actually moving things into AWS and leveraging services there like Lambda and API Gateway, and then like having that infrastructure kind of handle things. And so it's a lot of the code is actually in some form is being migrated, but it's being rearranged and restructured. I still have to-dos here, like I said, but we are right. So auth Twitch token. So that is the URL that we're trying to reach, and this is supposed to return a access token response, which it just contains an access token. Go figure. Okay, so it doesn't take a time. That's too bad. I mean, this is effectively all I need to do, right? We're going to call my API, which is being passed through from Vite, which is how I'm, running the front end locally and kind of managing things. We're getting the API URL, we're aliasing it to base API URL, and we're constructing this auth Twitch token. So this ends up being like, HTTPS / some digits dot AWS API Gateway, whatever, / auth Twitch token. So we fetch that, and then we parse it as JSON, which is how it should work. So this method should let me get the token I guess let's do this. How do I want to do this? Oh, that was the wrong key. Okay, there we go. What did I say over here in my to-dos? There was kind of an interface that I was thinking this would follow. Valid. True. And then you're complaining because... Oh, right. This needs to be await, of course. Because we are actually... Yeah. Okay. And then... I guess what I want to do is I want to just wrap the whole thing in a try. Yeah. And you're unhappy because I'm missing. Right, so okay, there we go. All right, so... So what I want to do here is const access token equals Twitch data provider get one data.access token. Can I do that? No, because I would need to await, and it needs arguments, and isn't that fun? Right. I guess technically something like that. No, that's not allowed. All right, ID. Yeah. Nope, I don't like doing that. Let's do something else. Let's see. Where do I want that to live? I don't really want it to live in that twitch.ts file because that's kind of like wrappers around the Twitch API, not around my API for dealing with tokens. So I guess I'll just make a little utility function here called get access token. It's not going to be local storage. access token. String or null? Valid? We could have a smarter type here. Is the what's coming back from the back end? Is that what does that shape look like? Is that with an underscore? So yes, and then valid is true, or valid is false, and then we don't have to bother specifying the access token. So then I can say, hey, this function is going to be a promise of a Twitch access token. I'll just make an async function. And missing a curly brace. And then, hey, look, that looks familiar. And then really, honestly, what I should do is I'll just take this, all of this code out of here. That's the code that I want for here. Except we don't need to do this data wrapper. That's a dataProvider convention. Yep. Also, this is wrong. Cool. This is complaining because it should be import type. Yep. Apparently a car alarm going off. Oh, it's fixed. All right. Do I want this to throw an error if the access token is not valid? Maybe. Let's do that for now. No, I don't think so. I think I want to do this. Actually, like the idea was that I wanted the shape of this object to communicate both whether or not it's like there is an access token effectively. And if there is, what is it? One of the things we do need to do though is the dataProvider is not going to be happy if there's not an ID. So we'll do something like that, and that will be fine. This is me really violating the conventions of what the dataProvider is supposed to do. But for right now, this is... The alternative would be I would go back to index.ts and I could define a separate dataProvider for like Twitch OAuth or Twitch login or something. Or something along those lines. I don't know. This is fine though. For the moment, I think maybe we'll see. So what I wanted to do, and the reason I pulled that into a separate function, is because rather than trying to maintain state of having the token, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be able to call the same function inside of getList to get the access token. I think I do want to throw here though. Like if we're trying to get the like list of recent streams to import into the tool, if there is an invalid access token, it should throw an error. Maybe. Okay, and then I guess while I'm here, let's just kind of continue working on this file, right? So for this to work, we need to add the function in twitch.ts that is going to call so what is it called? Let's go to the Twitch API docs. So Twitch API. Sadly, no dark mode. Reference. We want to videos, get videos. Get information about one or more published videos. You can get videos by ID, by user, or game category. And I think this is what I'm doing now. So if we go over to here. Yeah, Helix videos, user ID after. Okay. So I'll get videos, yeah? You know, I'm sure that there's like a node or a npm package out there that probably has some of this stuff, maybe all of it.
Would you care to join my following? No, sir.
But this is not so hard to provide. Excuse me. Provide these little wrapper functions. Especially if Copilot, interesting. Okay, so it's gonna do a lot of stuff for me, huh? Export interface video, ID, user ID, username, created at, published at, thumbnail, description. You think this is accurate? I kind of gave up there, didn't it? Response body. So there's a data field and it's an object array, and then it has ID, stream ID, user ID. There's a lot of things in it, yeah? Okay. This is a time where we're going to do this side by side. And that means I'm going to move some things here. So I could, let's just do this. I lost my place because I resized the window. Okay. So we have ID, stream ID, user ID, user login, username, title, description. Very nice. Created at. I could parse it. I think for am I doing that other places? Do I care to? I think I'll just leave it as a string. Yeah. Created at, published at, URL, thumbnail URL, viewable. mean, it says always set to public. So we'll take it. View count, language, type, archive, highlight, or upload. Duration is also a string. ISO 8601 duration. Interesting. Is that valid ISO 8601 duration? Normally it's like PT and then the letters for the units of time are uppercase. I actually have on my desk by my window on the other side of the room the ISO 8601 standard, because why not? Duration, and then muted segments. I guess we'll just declare this inline duration offset, and then we're done. And then get video's response is data, and then pagination that has a cursor. Object is empty. So that means that cursor is optional. So that's it, right? Data and pagination. Cool. All right, Copilot, give me the next part. All right, so isn't that great? Interesting. Why do this? I mean, this just takes... I mean, granted, if there were other fields in the response besides what was declared, this would narrow it down to just that, but otherwise this just recapitulates. Like, this could just be this. Yeah. So one thing I want to do is I want to be able to pass a after. Yeah, after. And we can make it optional. No, I'm not going, because that would, like, to do what I was about to do, I'd have to do like, so here's the first thing that came to mind. Is like, oh, if after exists, then do this. This is not good. Do something where we do like, I guess we can do let URL this URL. If after, then we just string concatenate like that. I guess that's fine. Of course, there are more options to pass to the request query parameters besides just user ID and after, like sort. Default is time. I think that's the thing, though. It's like the default is fine as it is. For all these things. So I think this works, right? And so then we can go back to switch data provider, and instead of constructing a URL here and appending and doing all of this, we can instead say const result equals await get video not going to be sufficient. Oh yeah, we need the broadcaster ID. Oh. Right. So before, the backend would have that. Huh. Should I be storing? Oh, right, but this part does not go. I guess potentially what this means for me is that my Twitch access token type should maybe mean more like, I think this will actually make more sense if this is more like Twitch access. Broadcaster ID. This is going to necessitate some changes here. This is the wrong twitch.rs. Oh, yeah. Main.rs and Twitch Lambda. Let's see. So access token response is going to need to change. Which is coming from access token response.schema. You're going to add a new property. It's going to be broadcaster ID. Broadcast. We'll say it's a string. All right, and then let's regenerate types. API schemas. All right, glad that still works. And there you go. Now broadcaster ID exists. It also exists in the TypeScript version, which means now this is giving us an error, which is great. Come back to that. And then I guess really what I can just do is I can do this. There we go. All so that I can say, let's see what order are the parameters. First is broadcaster ID. Access token and then cursor. Cursor is supposed to be null initially. Cool. Yeah. So this is not going to work yet still. Still more to do. But at least I think potentially I'm done with changing this file. So like if we go to the front end, it's still not going to work. We might get some fun errors if we go back to Twitch's. Let's go to app.tsx. We can alias that. It's because I changed the name of the resource. Yeah, hold on. That's the wrong key. Let's see. Is it options? How do we do this? Options, label. There we go. Now it's Twitch streams. And so if we look at the network activity here, we refresh. No, okay. Hard refresh. Okay, token 401. That makes sense. So there's one more thing. So when we're making this request, we need to include the user's access token for the API itself. Like this is an authenticated endpoint. So let's do that. We have examples. API token, just to hopefully disambiguate things a little bit. URL, and then string. There we go. And then headers. Is it bearer? Is that the prefix that we're putting on this? No, there's no. Why did we even do that? That's unnecessary. Oh, because it could be undefined. No, it couldn't. Oh, well, okay. According to this, it could be undefined. Hold on. Console.assert. Okay, and I think. That should eliminate the case where token is undefined. Oh, no, it doesn't. What's? I could have sworn. Okay, I guess it doesn't. Anyway, so let's just add a if token is undefined. There we go. Okay. I guess I want that same logic. Also, red flag that if I'm copying and pasting this, maybe I should have a function that handles doing this. Anything else that I need to provide? I guess I could tell it I accept application JSON. This isn't a post, so I don't need to send a content type. Okay, so if we refresh, we should get some different errors. 401 still. I'm glad the request header is below the fold. You don't need to see the token. Interesting. Wonder what happened there. Oh, maybe I have... oh, this might actually be a 401 from the... like, it's able to get to, like, past the API token check. It gets, and that's why it took, longer. Is it is actually that was probably the cold boot of the Lambda, and then it's calling like Twitch API stuff, or it's doing whatever it's doing to attempt to get the access token. Yeah, let's say so. Okay, so I think this is fine. For now, we need to add the broadcasterId to this response if we can. If we can't, then I need to rethink what I'm doing. Interesting. So this is the handler that's going to execute it. I don't see something that would result in a 401 though. I see a 500 error possibility. And here we just return an empty object. Which is not the right thing to do. This should also be a 500. Yeah. So I'm not sure what the 401 is about. But I'll have to dig into that in a little bit. So potentially the broadcasterId could be something that's just in the secret manager secret, right? That's what we're parsing here. We're getting the secret string, which is coming from Secrets Manager, get secret value for that ID. So there's a lot of untested stuff here that I'm not actually seeing work yet. So I have a bunch of stuff in this Cognito user ID. I built an extractor that is supposed to get the subject, which should be the user ID of the user, and we're using that as a way of creating a separate secret for each user. And maybe that works. So the idea here is that this is all integrated into the OAuth flow with Twitch, or it will be. Like that's the intent, where the front end calls this auth Twitch URL endpoint that this is providing. That then, what does it do? It does some checks. It uses this OAuth 2 client to generate a CSRF token and just generate an authorized URL. And then what we do is we update secret fields. I'm pretty sure that's effectively an upsert. So if the secret doesn't exist, it creates it. Create secret with the empty secret string. And then why is it returning here? That's definitely not right. Yeah, it should create the secret. And then that has a create secret output. Let's see. What are we doing here? Oh, I see. Okay. Let's change this around a little bit. Like, what I should be doing here is I need both of the branches here, so here and here, to converge on the same type, which would be the thing that then once we get down to here we're using. And so the easiest thing is that it's going to be this. Right, so if we await and then we inside of here, secret string.secret string.as unwrap or. So this ends up being a string slice. And then we want to do the same thing here, but we already know that this is just going to be this. Else. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if when we try to update, when we try to get the secret value, if it doesn't exist, and the error is specifically that it doesn't exist, which this may actually be right. I don't know. I think this was Copilot generated code, so we'll see if this actually works or not. If it doesn't exist, then we try to create the secret, and then this just gives this empty object, right? So everything converges to secret being a string slice. And then this is fun because the naming is backwards. Hold on. Rename this. Yeah, fetched secret string. And this is not a string. So let's rename that. Parsed secret. Brilliant. And then we JSONify it again. Update the secret. So that at least is better. But anyway. That secret string does not live long enough. Yes, indeed. Nope. How do we fix this? That secret string does not live long enough. Right. So we borrow later. Fetched secret string. This is going to break some things. Okay. And then you are displeased because it expected that. Okay. Well, hooray. That's fixed. We still right. So I was kind of tracing through this, right? Thinking about if we want the broadcaster ID to be inside of the secret, how does it end up there? Not here necessarily, although maybe. No, it has to be after we get returned in the Twitch callback handler. I think Twitch callback request doesn't necessarily have the broadcaster ID. Let's go look at the API docs. So if we look at let's see, authentication flows, we are doing OAuth client credentials grant flow. Is that the one? Server to server API request to use app access token. No, I think authorization code grant flow is the right one. Get the user to authorize your app, then use the authorization code to get a token. And so authorize, since the authorization code to your redirect URI. And when we do that, send the code, and we get back access token, expired SIN, refresh token, scope, token type. But not a broadcaster ID. Okay, we'll have to figure out how to get that and incorporate that, but that'll be after the break. So I'll be back in just a couple minutes and we'll keep on going. So.